Hey everyone, welcome back. And today's topic is going to be the load balancer, which is going to be the zone redundant. If you have seen my previous videos, you might be aware how the Azure load balancer mechanism works. If not, then it is going to be a layer 4 TCP UDP load balancer that basically distribute your incoming network traffic across multiple servers to ensure no single server becomes a bottleneck, and obviously to improve the application availability. This is a spatial context, which is going to be the zone redundant configuration, which basically refers to distributing resources across different availability zones within a region for high availability. And how we are going to achieve this while placing a load balancer, which is going to be zone redundant, and how do we make it zone redundant basically to play with the IP characteristics. And we are going to talk about in detail when we'll see the configuration. So zone redundant configuration is going to have a special IP address, and this load balancer can handle resources might be placed in a subnet 1. You can consider this as zone 1. Subnet 2 can be the zone 2. Subnet 3 can be the zone 3. So all the traffic will be distributed across these three availability zones. This is going to be the lab which we are going to perform. So users coming from the internet, they hit the load balancer IP address, that is going to be the public IP address. Though zone redundant load balancer, that is also valid for your internal load balancer, and we will see that. So the moment you hit the public IP address, your traffic get distributed across the zones, zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. Let's talk about the characteristic for the public IP address which we are going to use here. So obviously you're going to assign a public IP address to the load balancer. And if I talk about these IP, so the standard IP can be non-zonal, zonal, or zone redundant. So zone redundant IP addresses can only be created in a regions where three availability zones are live. IPs created before availability zones are not zone redundant. Public IP addresses using availability zone improves the reliability and ensures availability during the failure scenario. Affecting a data center within a region, a zone redundant public IP address can spread across multiple availability zones, which basically ensures the public IP address will continue running even if another zone has gone down. Furthermore, this ensures public standard load balancer front-end IP using a zone redundant public IP address can survive the zone failures. Let's take a look. While you create a public IP address, these are the fields you're going to choose: your subscription, resource group, your region, and you're going to give a name. Then you need to choose whether you want to use IPv4 or v6 address. Since I'm talking about v4 here, so I have chosen the v4. And then your SQ type is going to be the standard. Now, this is the field I was talking about. When we were creating a zonal load balancer, we have chosen a zone 1. So if you expand this field, you're going to get something like this. So this IP address can be non-zonal, it can be zone redundant, and it can also be the zonal. This is something you need to keep in mind while you configure your load balancer. So for this lab, we are going to use the zone redundant. There is one more field which is going to be the Microsoft network by default, and that is going to be your routing preference. Why this is important? You have two options. Either you go for the Microsoft network or you choose the internet. So all this internet connectivity, it is based on the peering. Microsoft itself has a big internet network. So it basically enforces how your traffic routes between Azure and the internet. Selecting Microsoft Global Network delivers traffic via Microsoft Global Network closest to the user. Internet Route options uses transit ISP network. Ingress data transfer price varies based on your routing selection. Routing preference option of the public IP cannot be changed once created. So you need to keep that in mind how you want to route your traffic between user and the load balancer. And it's time to perform a lab. So first we will talk about the IP address. So I will click on the public IP address. If you go for create, you are going to see all these fields. So you need to choose your resource group. You need to choose your IPv4 versus IPv6. You need to put a name. Then obviously you need to choose your SKU. And I'm talking about the standard load balancer here. Hence this IP address is also going to be the SKU standard. Zone availabilities. So we already talked about no zone, zone redundant, and then you have option to choose the zones manually. IP address assignment, static, routing preference, whether you want to go through the Microsoft network or you want to choose your internet transit peering. This is the way you can create your IP address. I just wanted to show you so you don't get confused. Now let's talk about our lab. And to perform our lab, what we have done, let's just verify it. I have VM1, and if you see, this availability zone was chosen as a 1 when we configured these VMs for our previous labs. VM2 was also 1 because we were creating a zonal deployment. And I have also created a VM3, and this time you see the availability zone is 2. So the load balancer, what I'm going to create, I will choose one VM from availability zone 1 and the second VM from availability zone 2. Now let's take a look on the load balancer options. So I will hit the load balancer tab, create a load balancer, and you need to choose your resource group. Then you need to give some name. So I'm going to put a name LB. SKU type is going to be the standard. And now you have option, you can go for the public and the internal. I just wanted to show you this zone availability thing. So I will choose the internal. And when you hit the IP address, now look at this. This is going to be the internal load balancer. So the IP will come from the virtual network and you need to define a subnet. And then this option is still there. You can go for zone redundant, you can go for no zone, or you have option to choose your zonal deployment. So nothing changes in terms of the zonal redundant configuration is concerned between your load balancer, which can be internal or it can be public in nature. So let me go back and we will choose public and then hit front end. It is giving me some warning. The count is exceeded. Let's try to create a front end IP address. So here we will say pip is IPv4. You have option to choose if you already created, or you can go for a new one. I want to go for a new one. Same options are coming here, whether you want to go for the zone redundant, yes, or you have option for the no zone or manually choose the zone. Routing preference by default Microsoft Network, we will leave as it is. Click OK, and then we are going to add it. Then you have option to create a pool. So I will name it as a pool. And here what you're going to see, all my deployment is in, most likely it is here, and the client group vnet. Let's add it. And now we see these VM, those are going to be the part of the pool. So this is in zone 2. I'm going to choose this one and we will choose 1. Click add, save, and now I'm going to create a load balancer. My machines are not on as of now. I need to start and I'm going to run the Apache very similar way what we have seen on the previous lab. I turned on my VM1 and VM3. Those are going to be the part of the pool. And it's time to make some configuration on the load balancer. So this has been deployed. Let's just click here. And we need to add load balancing rule. So we will name it as a R1. This is going to be the front end. And this is going to be the pool. And this is going to be port 80. And backend pool is also going to be port 80. No existing. I will just simply go for TCP and session% none. I will leave everything as it is and save it. This configuration has been saved. Now we need to choose the front-end IP address, which we are going to hit from a browser. And it's time to validate whether the load balancer IP, public IP address, whether it's responding or not, and it does. And that is exactly what we wanted to see. And this is coming from VM3, and the reason I can tell I have not changed anything on the front end page. So let's just hit it and we will see it will go to the VM1 as well. Yep, that's what we wanted to validate. So if you keep refreshing one of the session, once the session timeout is over, it will go and hit the another pool member in the pool. That is it for this lab. Thank you for watching and I will see you in the next section.